imagining my 32-year-old self, and if I could have picked up a book that offered healing for me and support for myself and how to navigate and be happier, lose some of the fear, the guilt, to grieve, and then to be able to flip this book over and actually hear the perspective of a young man who's been living with autism for the past 30 years. And I just felt like if Joseph was willing to do this with me, this book would be really special. Hi, welcome back to Mother's Guide Through Autism podcast. I'm Bridget Shipman, and I'm your host. Today, I am very excited to be talking about Joseph and my partnership, not only in our podcast, but in writing a book. So today I'm going to be focusing on A Mother's Guide Through Autism, the behind the scenes, how this book came to be, and the meaning behind our journey together, and what the messages are that we hope that you gain from it. I'm going to be doing my half of the book, and next episode, Joseph's going to be talking about his half of the book. So I hope you'll join us for both of those, because both of them are equally important, but they have completely different perspectives about our journey on our life experiences living with autism. So let's get started. I really want to emphasize, and you'll hear me say this a lot, that I refer to the past 30 years as a journey, and the fact that I am planning, hopefully, to be here for another 30 years or more on this journey with my son, Joseph, and also just to be able to do this important work of really having these discussions that can be difficult about what it's like to navigate a lifelong disability, and to also be able to live happily on the journey. The idea of this book came to me in a different format. It was when Joseph was in elementary school. And as I've shared with you before, I am a former teacher. I've taught everything from preschool to seniors in high school. And what I had noticed when I was really trying to educate teachers, educate the community, educate anyone who would be willing to listen on what Joseph's needs were, what I felt like I was witnessing and learning about as a mother to a child that was autistic. And the tools that I saw being used were very limited. Now, this was in the 90s, and when I would share that my son was autistic, a lot of people would refer to the movie Rain Man. That was one of the only references that were really well known at that time. And what I knew was that this diagnosis was very complex, that there were layers to it. Although this was early on with Joseph in elementary school, I had already learned for myself that this was going to be a challenge, not only just to help Joseph navigate through it, but to get people to understand it, to understand that Joseph was capable of many, many things. We just needed to find different ways to reach him, to help him be a part of society. it was recommended to me that he be put in a self-contained classroom at least part-time, and inclusion was very new at that time. But my argument was, if he is to be a member of society, I want him to learn how to be part of a class, be part of the community, and do whatever it took to help my son become part of that. So as I move forward on my autism journey, I was also surviving and navigating what I refer to as life tsunamis. And what a life tsunami to me, as I've mentioned before as well, is that this is a difficult, life-changing event. So yes, I was a mother guide to Joseph, but I was also navigating a lot of other life tsunamis that I was getting hit with at the time. So with a lot of twists and turns, that life finally took me to a new career. So I was teaching, and I was leading a lot of community events in my career as an educator, but I felt a strong calling to leave it and to make a career change for myself. I really enjoyed the times that I had with students to help them navigate their own lives. And I noticed that that was my favorite part of being a teacher, was to help the kids, not just with learning, but with their own life situations that they were going through. So I felt really passionate, about my teaching career and helping the kids. But I also knew that I wanted to expand this, and I just didn't know what to call it until I found life coaching. And that, in fact, is what I was doing in my teaching career. I was life coaching. So I went and got my life coach training, became a coach, and through several inspiring conversations and messages from the universe, from God, I believe, I was called. I had this calling all along. I resisted it. Didn't really want to get back into this high platform level of advocating with Joseph being grown. I really wanted to pass the baton to my son, but I kept getting called, and I finally accepted the calling. So if you're getting a calling and these knocks keep knocking on your door, I highly recommend answering the door of opportunities, because as it turns out, this is my heart, this is my passion, and I am really enjoying the second career of life coaching, and the niche in particular of helping autism moms heal their hearts. That is the main message and the main passion that I have on this journey. Yes, helping navigate resources, you bet. Telling our story to offer hope and inspiration and knowledge, you bet. But I also understand that if you can heal your heart, your mother's heart, that the rest of the journey is going to offer you a lot more energy, support, and you can navigate all of this much easier and with a lot more joy. So that's where my passion lies. And I would also say that Joseph and my situation is unique. Although Joseph struggled deeply with language, mostly echolalic and what I refer to as video talk, because he would use videos to express himself. And I write about that in the book. And I write about different experiences that Joseph and I had, but they were these experiences are from my perspective, what I had experienced and witnessed as Joseph's mother guide. So I decided that through many conversations, and I also refer to deep conversations as coffee talk, because I find that when I have my closest, deepest conversations with my circle, I'm going to call them my circle, generally it's over coffee, and we just sit and we just talk about life. And I'll mention my friend Kathy and as a thank you, and also my team. And my team, Sai, my virtual assistant, she's awesome. We've had many conversations, and also my family and my sister Heidi. And I just kept coming to them with these coffee talks. And I would say, we have Mother's Guide Through Autism. We have a podcast. I have a blog. I'm coaching moms, offering group programs, but I don't feel like we're reaching enough moms. What I had found was it was really tough to get this message out. I wanted more moms to be aware of this ability to feel more joy, resilience, and just have a happier experience as a mother's guide, and to offer that support to as many moms as that I could reach. So many coffee talks later, I thought, okay, I have always wanted to write a book. I have always wanted to write a book, even going way back to Joseph's elementary days. And it's time. This book has been living inside of me for decades. And finally, I have made it a priority. So I was already spread pretty thin with Mother's Guide Through Autism. The projects that were already in motion, such as the podcast, the coaching, the writing. And I had to figure out how this book was now, through many conversations, was actually going to become a reality. So I went to my son as well, and I asked him, I said, would you be interested in writing half of a book with me? Because it occurred to me that, just like the podcast, if I went back to imagining my 32-year-old self, and if I could have picked up a book that offered healing for me and support for myself, and how to navigate and be happier, lose some of the fear, the guilt, to grieve, and to deal with how I was feeling, and then to be able to flip this book over and actually hear the perspective of a young man who's been living with autism for the past 30 years. And I just felt like if Joseph was willing to do this with me, this book would be really special, because I'm writing this book from my heart, my mother heart, to your mother heart. And my son is writing it from his perspective. So I went to him, and he was all for it. Joseph really wanted to do this project with me. He did have some question about the process, and being his mother guide, I guided him, and with very little guidance, I might add. I sent him just a little bit of what the title of the book, and he took off. And Joseph is an exceptional writer. And I was so proud of him that he just took it and he did it. So once Joseph said yes, and the process and the layout of the book was, he became more comfortable with that, I then had to figure out, okay, if this book is going to be priority, how am I going to navigate that? So again, many coffee talks, support from my team, the publishers. I just had many conversations, and I decided if I could financially put this book as my project, then that's what I was going to do. So with took me several weeks of calculating my budget, how I was going to do this, came up with a plan, and then I started writing the book, and it was my priority. And once I started writing it, I didn't look up. I wasn't really working on anything else. However, life threw me. I wouldn't call this a life tsunami, but there was certainly challenges that came up when I started writing this book. And I had a water leak, and there was major water damage that came to me during the writing process. And I had to navigate writing and having many repairs done to my home while writing this book, among other things, right? But it was a priority. And what I found was that once I sat down to write, it just came out of me. It was not a difficult book for me to write. And I have referenced this before. I am a new author. I don't have a lot of experience about writing, but this book just came, I mean, it flowed. It was not hard to write. I had it living inside of me for so many years that it just flew out of me. And I feel like, from what I understand about Joseph's experience, once he started writing, it was not difficult for him either. So this book is a labor of love. And I'm so thrilled that it is no longer living inside of me, not just for me, but now I am able to share what our story is, but more importantly, how to help you heal your heart, how to navigate your journey as a mother guide, and also at the same time, share my story with you, little pieces at a time. It's not an autobiography, but it has pieces of our journey. I use my story to share with you so that you can relate to it. But this half of the book that I wrote is really more about your journey, although I share mine. I want to take you through the very beginning of motherhood, and that looks different for everybody. I do want to emphasize that when I say motherhood, it is, there are many ways to be a mom. You can be a surrogate, you can have adopted a child, whatever gender you are, it doesn't matter. A mother's heart is a mother's heart. And I really want to emphasize that. So anybody who is in the role of a mom, this book is for you. This book is for you because as you journey along life with autism, you're going to find many many challenges. I mean, I'm going to be very honest. It is not an easy road. It just isn't, but it can be lighter. And I've been, talking about this book, and I wish I would have done this healing piece of my heart much earlier than my late 40s and 50s, because I believe truly deep down inside that I would have enjoyed my son a lot more. I would have enjoyed my younger son a lot more. I would have enjoyed my life a lot more. So I really have written this book, A Mother's Guide Through Autism, for you. Anyone who is on this journey, doesn't matter how old your child is or your children are. Once you're a mom, you're always a mom. Once you're a mother guide, you're always a mother's guide. And I would love to share this book with you. I would love for you to heal your heart, to find a way to share that with other moms who need it. The first thing that I say to a mom is take a breath. It's going to be okay. And it will be. So I hope that our book is everything that the intention behind it is meant to do, which is not only to heal your heart and share our story, but to use the book itself as a metaphor. So when, again, I had many coffee talks about this lovely, loving project of Mother's Guide Through Autism and Through the Eyes of the Guided, Joseph's half of the book. And I really envisioned with a coffee talk with my friend Kathy, wouldn't it be cool if we had Mother's Guide Through Autism, and then to give the perspective, to literally flip the book over and have Through the Eyes of the Guided, which is a completely different perspective. Although Joseph and I share the same experiences and the same story, we have completely different perspectives of each story, of each moment. Me being the mom, and Joseph being the person living with autism. And I think one of the messages that you will get out of this book is that there is such a deep bond between a mother and a child that even if they can't tell you what's going on, your heart, your intuition will know what your child needs. And it's scary and it's frustrating, but the bond that you have with your beautiful child or children is extraordinary. Our children are extraordinary, and each of you are extraordinary. So I really, really hope you pick up our book, Through the Eyes of the Guided. Again, you flip it over, you get my son's perspective of what he is sharing about his journey. And next episode on Mother's Guide Through Autism podcast is going to be Joseph, and he's going to talk to you about his experience with writing the book and what his thoughts were behind what he writes. So you don't want to miss that. I also want to let you know that our book will be coming out very, very soon. When this airs, please check and follow us on Instagram, Mother's Guide Through Autism. You can follow us on Facebook. Again, if you haven't joined our private Facebook group, Mother's Guide Through Autism, private Facebook group, please do, because you will be able to join our wait list, get all these sneak peek Adventures of Mother's Guide Through Autism, and you'll be one of the first to know the exact date that our book will be for sale on Amazon. I will also be doing a launch locally in Mountain Home, Arkansas on Saturday, June 11th, where Joseph and I will meet and greet and discuss our book, and certainly sign the book for anyone who wants to come and have coffee talk with Joseph and I. We're going to have signature coffees for both of our books. And as Joseph has said, you get a 2-for-1. You get 2 books in one, 2 perspectives, 2 stories, but a deep connection of the same experience. And please like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any shows that are going to be coming out. Thanks. I'll see you next time.